In this video, I want to discuss something that's going to become a problem, I think, for the Trump agenda, and it kind of plays into this to our efforts at deporting illegal immigrants. Um, and Basically, what I'm going to get into is I think the approach that's been taken by both the president and many of his supporters in Congress and so forth. I think it's becoming counterproductive to his own goal. And let's start off with the situation is, remember, the key thing that's become a real flashpoint. Well, there's other issues as well, but there's this MS 13 guy named Garcia, who apparently his immigration judge had said that he was eligible for deportation, but not to El Salvador, his home country, because there was issues he might be killed by a rival gang there, as if anybody involved in gang activity can't be killed by a rival gang, even in the United States. But at any rate, that was the ruling, and that was somehow was overlooked in a bureaucratic error, and he was deported along with a whole bunch of other people to El Salvador. And that has led to a court challenge with a particularly questionable judge in the D.C. Circuit, backed up by the D.C. Circuit Court, loaded up with Democrats, and then finally the Supreme Court had a rather ambiguous ruling that the administration should facilitate his return. But I think that of course, the Trump is pretty steadfastly refused to do that, although it's been kind of handled in various ways and supposedly on advice from the Attorney General and so forth. I will agree that the specific language was ambiguous, and that can lead to problems. But I think that what I've said in previous videos, I kind of thought, it might, although politically there's some advantage to letting the Democrats go out of their way to support this guy. And in fact, at this point, it's gone beyond that. They're supporting other questionable people that should definitely be deported. But I think that the issue that's come up is that it's turned into the whole issue of convincing the courts that they're not being respected. And even the Supreme Court has moved to the point on this, and also on the deportation of a bunch of gang members from Venezuela. That we've had a 7-2 hold put on, at least temporary hold put on those deportations, pending some kind of clarification of what kind of procedures that these people will have to be notified to appeal their being deported and so forth. And the problem here, I'm looking at this as a practical thing. Okay, my own personal opinion is this is kind of outrageous and stupid. But remember, what we've got now is it isn't just the three Democrats on the court that are doing this. We have, of course, they also have Roberts, who's kind of notorious to be the guy that kind of lets us down on occasion. And now we have all three of Trump's own appointees joining in this. So, so this is a problem. You're not going to, and we have right before the court also some very major things, particularly the idea of, does the 14th Amendment actually guarantee to everybody born in this country that citizenship just by being born here, even if they shouldn't be here, that the mother shouldn't have even been here in the first place? I mean, the idea of somebody literally, a pregnant woman somehow to get into the country and then give birth, and then at that point the child becomes a citizen regardless of how they were here. That is, and so, and that's before the court, along with motions to do something to restrict these nationwide injunctions. And it's unclear to me at all how this is going to go either. I mean, typically it takes four judges to bring a case to be heard. Um, but my point is, I think maybe we should go a little milder on this. I mean, directly attacking the members of the court and saying negative things about them. Um, I mean, it didn't really work for Chuck Schumer either, because remember, these people have lifetime appointments and practically can't be removed from the court. Uh, In the words of somebody we don't much care about, Bernie Sanders is right about the idea there is an oligarchy, but it's not the billionaires. The oligarchy is the federal judiciary. It is an oligarchy. And it was actually created by the founding fathers to be that, actually. And we can debate the wisdom of it, but what is the alternative? Elected judges would be the alternative. And then we'd have campaigns to be a judge, and then we'd have judges making decisions based on whether or not it would affect whether they would be reelected or not. And even that would depend on what district they were in, and some districts would go to judge. We'd still have many of the same problems, is my point. So, um, so at any rate, what I'm saying is probably we should have just brought Garcia back maybe quietly when it wasn't much in the news over the weekend, and then made the motions to deport him again. Because there's a good case for it. I think a lot of the evidence that really is against the guy wasn't present in the previous cases, which has since been dug up by all the controversy. The guy was involved in human trafficking. What he had, he is clearly a gang member, and you have two restraining orders by his wife, and this guy is, I think very deportable, and the idea, I think it's a bad ruling, in fact, that he's so in danger going back there that somehow, how that he should be kept here regardless. I think that is a bogus argument, which might be overturned on appeal. But at any rate, one guy versus annoying the Supreme Court when you need the Supreme Court to rule your way if you want your policy to be fully carried out. I think is the trade-off is pretty clear cut. I think. Although if you like these videos, give me a like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications, or you could follow me on Rumble. Now, that's not to say I think that the people in the court are making the wrong call here. My own viewpoint is the only thing that really needs to be, in general, checked out, I think, on an illegal immigrant for deportation, really, is, are they really an illegal immigrant? Do they have any serious claim to legal status here? And in general, they don't. Are they really trying to say that no, it's actually wrong that I came here illegally, and then we're going to have what, a jury trial on this, or a judge trial, or what kind of criteria do we have to have, and how much time do you have to have messing around with this? Um, you know, so but the problem is with these courts involved. If we alienate these courts, we're going to have one ruling after another that's going to be adverse. And I think that rather than attacking them, I think it would be better to try to calm them down. And I think part of the problem is Trump's own political rhetoric. At one point, he literally said something about the idea of deporting citizens to El Salvador. How can you deport? In other words, yes, people who did get natural born citizens, and I don't mean, and in fact, even under Trump's executive order on this, it only applied to people who were born after the executive order was written, not to people before it. So, and the other scenario would be something like, say, some of these Nazi war criminals that got in here but lied about being involved in war crimes or something, and then they later proved that in fact they lied on their application for immigration. And okay, yes, there are scenarios where that can happen, but why bring up something provocative like that when you know you have these sensitive people on this court? I think we picked the wrong people, by the way, for the three he picked. They were all picked off a list that some group of conservatives came up with. But remember, these people were picked for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was overturn Roe v. Wade, which was a laudable goal, but okay, done. But you have to think you're talking with lifetime appointments, and there's a lot of other sensitivities some of these people might have otherwise that would make them kind of going in the direction they're going, if you think about it. Remember that absolutely all the, I'll get into religion here a little bit, but let's face it, they're all Catholics, and we have a pope. and the Pope was speaking out against deporting all the illegal immigrants and stuff, right? So I can see how this could be a problem going forward here. And if you add to it a lot of inflammatory rhetoric and the behavior that you might just do something unconstitutional or something, uh, I think it's probably the wrong way to go, particularly given Trump's history of January 6th and all, I mean, so I tend to think that he needs to calm down. And what I think he maybe should do is start actually trying to communicate with these people behind the scenes and say, hey, look, this country has a real problem here. And if you proceed the way you're going, a lot of innocent Americans are going to die because of it. I mean, not publicly, but kind of more privately. Hey, come on now. I mean, I'm not out of control here. The people have rights, but these people really, particularly the gang members, shouldn't be here. And so, anyway, that's just something I kind of wanted to throw out. Is I think it'd be better to scale it back. And these calls for impeachment, it's useless. You can't remove them from office because the Democrats will all vote to keep them there. I mean, you could have theoretically, if you get your Congress to organize itself and vote to impeach, you might get an article of impeachment against them. But once it basically that they made a ruling you don't agree with, I mean, and you're going to go to the Senate, and it needs a 2/3 vote to get them out. So why raise a controversy? Why get Roberts quit talking about impeaching judges when we can't do it anyhow? If we could, we'd probably do it, but we can't. And that's the problem. So why stir things up in ways that really don't do any good? What we really need to do is try more of a persuasive approach, in my opinion, a little bit lower key. And probably bringing this Garcia guy back might be, quietly now, might be an interesting idea. It's kind of a peace offering between now and the next ruling. Because right now, the key thing on all these Venezuelan gang guys has gone back to Fifth Circuit Court, which is at least fortunate. It's a pretty favorable court, relatively speaking. So if we can calm things down with these courts a little bit, we may get one or two bad decisions here, but maybe we can get the bulk of the decisions going the right way. Because some of these things, if we lose on this birthright citizenship, this will be the first really true clear-cut ruling on this, as I understand it. And if it's against us, that means we're stuck with this. So there, that's just kind of what I think about it. And it's my style is a little bit different. My objectives are pretty much the same as Trump's are. Get these dangerous gang members and criminals out of the country, yes. And of course, he has done an excellent job of shutting down the border. And that alone is a good thing. I mean, that in itself is worth it all. And that one is not too controversial. We pretty much, and I think the other thing that's going to have to happen is this reconciliation bill, if we can get our act together to pass it, is that we need to, that one part of the thing that was being discussed last year, the bill that they were trying to negotiate through, we do need to do that part of it. That is to create a whole bunch of new immigration judges so that we'll have people available to process these people. And hopefully we can do it fairly rapidly. I don't think that most of these cases should be that long. I mean, they might be basically almost like a hearing, where somebody goes in and pleads and then they set the bail and then they go away. It might be pretty brief, I would think. Just, do you have, are you here illegally? And then maybe the second question is, if they say I'm not, then do you have any evidence of legal entry? And when they don't have any, then rule against them and deport. But we do we're probably going to have a process because these judges are probably going to insist on it. So anyway, that's kind of what I have to say on this one. By the way, I hope it all works out good. But Trump has got his own style, I know, but I think he needs to ratchet it back a little bit here, because if you get into that kind of a contest, and remember that there's too many weak people in the party that aren't prepared to go with the complete defy the court type approach. They're too weak to do that. So it probably would be politically a bad thing anyhow, because it would probably enhance the Democrats' chance of winning the off election here in November of next year. So anyway, let's hope everything works for the best, and I hope we get some good decisions out of this. But we are, I think, running a dangerous route at the moment. If you like these, I will be posting this as always on YouTube and Rumble, and the address of my social media accounts are in the description below. So all for this time.